this is the final video for Unit 2. It will cover the last part of cardiovascular disease, which is the obesity section of blood glucose and obesity. So obesity is related to all the things I've been talking about before. It's a major risk factor for all the previous parts. So it's risk factor for cardiovascular disease, and for type 2 diabetes in particular. Now, people generally know what obesity means, but they couldn't define it. So it's actually defined as an excess amount of body fat in relation to lean body tissue. And by lean body tissue, all I mean by that is muscle. So what we use to determine obesity is BMI. And BMI will have an equation that you will need to use. And if they have a value higher or greater than 30, then that person is classed as obese. So 30 is that magic number that people should really be below if they don't want to be obese. Now, as a word of warning, BMI can wrongly classify people as obese. Now, specifically, that would relate to a certain group of people, and it'd be muscular people. People who have a very high amount of muscle or dense muscle in their body would then be deemed as obese because muscle weighs more than fat. Okay, so top athletes, people like rugby players who are very, very muscular, will actually be classed as obese at some point if they're measuring just their BMI to determine obesity. Even though we know that that's not the case, they're actually just muscly. So you need to know the BMI equation. So BMI is calculated using two values. It would be your weight measured in kilograms divided by your height in meters squared. So I'm going to show you a few examples of this just to work through. So person A, who has a weight of 65 kilograms and a height of 1.7 meters. So what we need to do is do 65 kilograms divided by 1.7 squared, so 1.7 times 1.7. So that answer then is 2.89. So we do 65 divided by 2.89, and that results in a BMI of 22.5, which is totally normal and not obese. Okay, we have a person B then, who has a weight of 103 kilograms and a height of 1.8 meters. So again, we would have our calculation. So 103 is their weight on top, divided by their height in meters squared. So it would be 1.8 times 1.8, which gives us the answer of 3.24. So we'd do 103 divided by 3.24, and that gives the value of 31.8 as BMI. Now this person, therefore, is obese as their BMI value is over 30. Now BMI doesn't have a unit, so you would just have a value of 31.8 for that. Okay, so greater than 30 would determine obesity, which is excess body fat in relation to muscle. Okay, but be aware, muscly people can be classified as obese incorrectly. Now for this, because obesity relates to cardiovascular disease, what you really want to do is advise people to reduce their obesity if they are obese, and how to bring that down normally would be what we're going to cover next. So obesity is linked to a high-fat diet. also a decrease in physical activity. What we can call a sedentary lifestyle, so sedentary lifestyle, so basically a lifestyle where you don't really move around very much. So to reduce that, what we'd need to do is alter the diet. Okay, now you do that in two ways. You limit fats in the diet. And the reason you do that is because fats have a very high calorific value. So for every gram of fat, it's very, very high in calories. What you can also do is limit your free sugars. Now, free sugars are simple sugars, ones that are like in fizzy drinks and things like that. And the reason we do that is because there's no metabolic energy required for them to be digested. And what that means is essentially those sugars are just absorbed straight into the bloodstream. They don't need to be digested, so therefore we don't spend any energy digesting them. They go straight into our bloodstream and then are typically just stored as fat. To reduce obesity as well, we then exercise. And we encourage regular exercise. There's a multitude of reasons why we do that. Generally, it keeps weight under control. Which therefore would avoid obesity. It minimises stress. And stress would relate to the next part, which is it reduces hypertension, which is high blood pressure. And high blood pressure is linked to cardiovascular disease, so you don't want to have a high blood pressure, you want to reduce that hypertension. And then what it will also do if you exercise is increase your HDL blood profiles. And because of that, that would then reduce the cholesterol in your blood, and therefore reduce the risk of atheromas. Okay, and that finishes off the obesity part of that cardiovascular disease section.